Hello everybody and welcome back to Animal Crossing City Folk. I kind of waited too long to record. I could have recorded a while ago, and I probably should have. But I didn't, and now I can't really see anything. This one looks different. I'm gonna water it. Like, I can kind of tell it's a different color than it should be, I think. Oh, excuse me. Whoever decided the color scheme for evening in City Folk, or really just evening in Animal Crossing in general, did not like colorblind people. Hey, Baltimore to something. It's Groucho's birthday. Neat. We only had like one animal that liked us enough that actually let us give them a present. So I think that's one thing I definitely like about New Leaf more than City Folk here, is that in New Leaf, whenever your animal's birthday is, you can always give them a present. Whether they like you or not, you can give them a present. Honestly, giving them that present can sometimes make them like you less if you give them something they just do not like. Like, for instance, if we were to give Carmen, like, I don't know, a Western fence, she's probably not gonna like that, and it would lower her friendship towards us, because she's space-themed. She likes space stuff, and we just gave her basically the exact opposite of that. Which I think is really neat. But, like, we don't really have the chance to do that with animals here unless they like us, in which case you don't really want to mess that up. So you'd basically want to look up guides and be like, okay, I need to give, I'd imagine Groucho, we probably like blue things. I forget what the inside of his house even looks like. Hey, money rock. And we got double on the 100. Double on the thing that doesn't matter on. And double on the 500. Double on the 8. Well, 4. I think it's 4. Yeah, it's a 4. It's just like, wait, is it 4? Yeah, it's 4,000 because double makes it 8,000. I can still see things so much better looking over at my monitor, but everything's delayed. Like, there's a good 2-3 second delay on what my monitor displays. Which would mean I'd be walking into trees a lot more than I already do. Your present. There it is. Let's go over to the slingshot. I'm gonna... Oh, jeez. Please wait, animal. Wait. Thought one of them wanted something. I guess they've decided they don't want anything? Or were they just going like, oh, there's a present in the air, and then I shot it down. It's a robo chair, so Benedict's style. Neat. Today's probably gonna be decently short because, well, I can't see anything. The colors are getting gradually a little better as time goes on, but I don't really have that long to record today either. So, I mean, they're not as bad as normal. And it's definitely gotten better in the time I'd been waiting. When I initially fired up the game to record, it had just turned 6. And it's now about 6:30. What are the turnip prices? 63 bells. Ugh. Ugh, I say. Well, let's sell both of these. We're not going to get much for them. Yeah, 707. It's something, though. I was kind of hoping today would be a bit longer, but I just don't think I could play that long. I'm going to try and do some fishing, because I should be able to see the fish. I see blues pretty okay. And it's just blue and dark blue, so yeah. It's all this other color, it's just all the same. Yeah, I suppose I'm gonna... I need something to talk about. So, I'm going to talk about some interesting design decisions that Nexon made with Maplestory 2. And quite honestly, they all kind of boil to the exact same thing. Allowing users to create their own designs. Which is also, in a way, fitting to be talking about during Animal Crossing, a game series that lets you create your own designs. Currently in Maplestory 2, there is little moderation. It's mostly relying on the player base to moderate itself currently, because the game is still in its, early stages. So that means you quite often do have things that are just, a cosmetic pants outfit for females that's just their underwear. Now, I mean, you can get that same effect by just getting a transparency badge and making your armor transparent, and just running around in the default underwear. This is arguably a more expensive option, so there's nothing overly wrong with that, but that is the majority of the player-made custom items for female characters. I know this because I have a female character, because I basically set about with just making the cutest character I could. That was my entire goal, just making her as cute as I could make her. Plus, I knew that my girlfriend was probably going to start playing, and she tends to make male characters. So we're the kind of perfect foils for each other. But another thing with this allowing players to make their own custom designs is they allow players to upload their own images to different things. For instance, in the guild house, there's a little poster area where you can just upload an image to so long as it fits within the size requirements. Which, with the guild I run, which is on the US East server, Crimson Shields, well, Crimson Shield, I believe it is, or Shields. Just search Crimson Shield and you'll find it. I've already had the that poster image altered to things that I really didn't want it being, because I have no control over who can alter it, as far as I know anyway. Honestly, makes me wish I could take the thing down and just replace it with just a full-out custom design that can never be changed. Because my idea with that would be to eventually turn it into a sigil for the guild. But, with it just being changeable at will, that's not really possible. Especially where I don't get a log of when it's changed, unless I'm in all the time and have, a chat bot watching for that line of text saying so-and-so has changed the thing. So if I have someone join and they change it to something horridly inappropriate, I don't know who did it. I can't remove whoever that was from the guild because I have no tools to see that. And uploading that horrifically inappropriate thing is against the rules, but I have, the actual, EULA of the game, but I have no way of knowing who did it, so I can't report them for it. Now, I mean, at the moment, I basically know who it was that was changing the picture, and I'm going to be having a talk with him about it. Whoops. Mostly because I thought that that image was only changeable by leadership, and he is not leadership, much to probably his dismay. But, I myself am really torn on that as a concept. Because I like the concept of players being able to make their own designs and sell them in the cash shop for in-game cash currency, which is what you can do. It's actually something my girlfriend is really excited to be able to do. But there needs to be some level of moderation to basically protect Nexon. Because, let's give an example of, let's say someone makes a Pikachu outfit. It's Pikachu sweater, Pikachu pants, Pikachu boots, gloves, you know, everything. Nintendo could sue them. That is Nintendo's IP. Nexon does not have permission to use that. Now, Nexon's EULA does basically excuse them from liability, but it would definitely have ramifications and possibly cause them to have to shut down that service. Because, well, Nintendo just sued them over it. And as much as they wouldn't be held liable, Nexon would still have to enact precautions to stop it from happening. Think basically how YouTube is going. Because of all the, kerfluffle around adverts and copyrighted content showing up on YouTube where they shouldn't, or just showing up there in general, YouTube has had to massively change how it works to appease these people, along with punishing those who are responsible in the first place. I was going to clean up a bit of the beach here too. Oh, there we go. Pockets are full. Figured I was getting pretty close there. So, yeah, I see Nexon eventually hitting that point, and it's not going to be pretty when it does. Pom-Pom wants something. Do you ever suddenly realize that some phrase you've been using is, like, all totally lame? So, like, for example, hey, stuff like that. I think I need something more elegant and ladylike and saucy or whatever. Can you think of anything that would work well for me? Bam! Think I can. Alright, I knew you could do it, darling. Give me your best one, bam. Greeting. Saucy and ladylike. Sup. Sup? Like, look at me, I'm happy. Did that sound okay? Yeah, sounded good. Sup. So that's your idea of a grown-up greeting, huh, darling? Tee tee. Saying it makes me feel kinda tingly. But I'm glad I have you to practice on, darling. Till I get used to it anyway. Right, it's just saying sup. I mean, that is very saucy. And I mean, it's a little ladylike, because I mean, it's something anyone can say. Yeah, I am worried for the future of that system in Maplestory 2. And also, I just remembered another thing that I kind of feel like I need to talk about. Because it, in a way, is relevant to me where I want to make my own TCG. And this is more just a message to anyone making one. Don't just copy another TCG that exists. I say this because on Steam right now, and I forget its name, and it's probably a good thing I forget, because I wouldn't want to give it traffic. There's a TCG that's basically just Hearthstone, but unbalanced. Like, aesthetically, it's Hearthstone. With the mechanics of how all of the creatures work, it's Hearthstone. With your resource mechanic, it's Hearthstone. Like, I understand when it comes to resources in a TCG, you're kinda locked into a box. Because between the main three, that being Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh!, you don't really have many options left other than to go with, like, a Hearthstone-style system. Or you could just go with one of the main three systems. No one will judge you for that. But grabbing Hearthstone system is just lazy. Now, for testing, yeah, sure, use a simple system like Hearthstone's. For those who don't know, in Hearthstone, you gather your resource to, cast cards. By every turn, you just gain 1 mana crystal, up to a maximum of 10. That is a simple system. It means by turn 10, you'll be using 10 cost cards. Simple enough. The Yu-Gi-Oh! System relies on different summoning mechanics. So, for instance, with Yu-Gi-Oh! A monster that is 4 stars or lower can just be normal summoned unless it states otherwise. A monster 5 and 6 star needs 1 tribute unless it states otherwise. And 7 star and up requires 2 tributes unless otherwise stated. And spell and trap cards can just be played unless they say they can't be. See how it works? It's kind of confusing. Pokemon. You can play basic Pokemon freely, and to play first and second stage evolutions of those Pokemon, you need to already have the basic Pokemon on the field. I don't think there's any way of skipping it without, like, a few item cards. Which I honestly think are out of rotation now, so they're kind of irrelevant. And Magic the Gathering, you have land cards in your deck, and you need to play these land cards 1 per turn, and you build up the resources you then spend to cast your cards with those. So, for instance, 1 land could potentially cast you one cost card. It's kind of another simple system. I myself, with the TCG I've been working with more of a Yu-Gi-Oh! Style summoning system. Only more balanced. Basically, it's going to be balanced by adding in extra rules around it. Excuse me. Like, for instance, I do plan on having basically a normal special summon system. But you will be limited in the number of special summons you can make every turn. I'm honestly at the moment thinking to capping it off on 2 unless a card otherwise states differently. I honestly think Yu-Gi-Oh! Should do similar. And what I mean by a card otherwise stating differently is, think with Yu-Gi-Oh! The card Scapegoat. It special summons 4 goat tokens onto your side of the field. But you cannot special summon any other monsters the turn you activate that card. And it's a quick play spell, so you're always going to be activating it at the end of your opponent's turn. So, it's kind of... The restriction's kind of pointless. But, like, if I made a card that does something like that, and a thing to note about these tokens is that they can basically be used for nothing. They can't be used for an Xyz summon. I don't think they can be used for Synchro. They can't be used for tribute summoning. They're basically stall tokens until Master Rule 4, in which case they can be used for a Link summon. If you activate it at the end of your opponent's turn, that is. But, like, I would be perfectly fine with adding in some sort of token that can't be used for anything that you can get more than 2 of a turn. Because, well, that is for stalling. I understand the point of it, and that's what Scapegoat used to be used for. Stalling out turns while you built up the rest of your board. Or built up, your hands so that you can make your explosive play and possibly win. Nowadays, it's just another way of making degenerate plays. Because there is no limit on the number of special summons you can do a turn, and I'm going to make absolutely sure I watered my turnip. Well, there is a limit on the number of special summons if a card itself limits it. But usually cards like that are just ones you play at the end of your chain. Like, for instance, Scapegoat. If you're going to be using Scapegoat, you're going to be activating it at the end of your opponent's turn. There are other cards that make it so after you summon that card, you can't special summon anything else for the rest of the turn. So you just summon it at the end of your summon chain. That way you get the extra presence at the end of your turn. Or just the extra bit of damage for, you know, your OTK or, you know, whatever. There are a lot of cards that, you know, will limit your special summons to what type you can special summon. Like, there's some cards with photons and galaxies that limit your special summoning to only light-type monsters. But still, it doesn't solve the problem, and no one plays them, really, because they're not great. They, you know, they do have those limitations, while other archetypes don't. Which is where, whenever I get around to, you know, designing, which I plan on starting my TCG with archetypes already, you know, set up in there, to set the baseline of what things are going to be like for archetypes. But archetype cards will only have more or less searching consistency up on non-archetypal cards. Like, an example I can give, and this is going to be a quick and dirty example. If I was to build an archetype around aliens, I'm going to just use the Yu-Gi-Oh! Alien cards as an example. They will have ways of searching themselves out, but will in general have either just lesser stats or lesser effects compared to non-searchable monsters and cards. Because the less searchable a card is, the stronger it should be, because the more searchable it is, the more likely your player is to have it. Now, that is going to be a difficult balance, and I know that. Because I can't just go archetype card -1 to to work out the balance. Well, archetype cards are -1 kind of thing. Because that just doesn't work. That would make archetypes worthless. And it's going to be a difficult balance, which is why I don't even have a prototype of the TCG I'm slowly working on yet. Is because I just don't have enough balance yet. I actually think I might work on that a little bit tonight. I don't know. But I am going to end this off here, because I still need to edit, and it's nearly 7. So, with that, I thank you all very much for watching. I'd like to remind everyone I do have a Patreon down below, should you wish to throw money at me. And if you don't, it's perfectly fine. So, I hope to see you back next time for more Animal Crossing City Folk. See you all then.